Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Lefty's Place. The Marlins have done it. They are in the postseason for the first time in 17 years. All the pain we have gone through, all the suffering that the Miami Marlins fans have gone through over the years is finally subsiding. It feels so good. Derek Jeter has brought us back. I mean, I knew he was doing it right. I said it in my preview of the season. I had hope for this team. I didn't know if we were going to make this postseason this year. I knew with, the 60 game season, how every game, mattered, and just with all the circumstances going into the season, that it gave us a really good chance to get into the postseason, especially with, them expanding the field. So, and I also said we were going to be around 500, but we're over 500 this season. We ended 31-29, first season over 500 since 2009. I mean, bro, let me just say, just a round of applause to all the Miami Marlins fans, all the Marlins fans that have endured all of this just crap over the years, man, that Jeffrey Loria had us go through. And I mean, I understand, to be disinterested in just how it was being run, but man, when Jeter came in, giving us hope. I mean, I can't stand the people that were like trashing him for getting rid of all these players that weren't really doing anything for us. They were giving us numbers, but they weren't really doing anything. And just building a team from the ground up to give us what we have today, which is going to be a consistent contender in the MLB and a team we can be proud of, guys. Like this season was just, it had so many twists and turns with the beginning of the year with all those COVID, reports and how people were trashing the Marlins. Oh, what a trash franchise! No wonder, they're ruining the MLB. And then them saying like, oh, that start is it's only 10 games in. They're gonna fall down eventually. They're gonna be last in the division. No, second place in the NL East, I thought was the best division in baseball to start the season. I was clearly wrong, because the Phillies, once again, do not make the playoffs. Even with the expanded field, the 60-game season, all the talent they have on the roster, bringing in Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto. No, it does not work that way in baseball. You do not just get top-tier talent and just expect yourself to win. You need to build a team. And that is what the Marlins have done this season. Even though the Nationals, who won it last year, I thought they were going to be one of the top teams but I was obviously wrong. Same thing with the Mets. I mean, I didn't think the Mets were going to be that great. I thought they were going to finish fourth. But wow. Obviously the Braves being the best offensive team in baseball, they're going to be a hassle to deal with. But let me just talk about how this season went. I mean, we had so many things to deal with, because to start this year, like I said, all those COVID reports, we had close to 18 players and coaches out, and we had to keep playing games. So they brought in all this young talent in that we've been nurturing and getting ready for the big stage, and maybe they were brought in too early, but that's exactly what they needed. Just be put out there in this weird situation, and they came out and delivered. I don't remember how we started the season. Let me check this out. But it was a great record to start the season. We were at 7-1 to start the year. 7-1. That's in a 60 game season. That's a huge start. That's nearly almost 15% of the season already. Obviously we lost a few games, went to 9-4, and kind of struggled, but the thing is, it's the fact that we started at that, and then yes, we lost a few games, but then the consistency after that, just to be able to at least stay at 500, win big time games, win against the Mets, the Nationals, beating the Rays, beating Atlanta a few times. I mean, the list just goes on and on in the amount of big-time wins that we had this season. Yes, we did have some huge losses as well. I mean, even though we're 2 games over 500, our run differential is easily in the negatives because we had some like 15-0 losses. We had like that ridiculous loss against the Braves that was 29-9. I mean, and then 11-0 to the Phillies. There were some really bad losses, no doubt about it. But the thing I tweeted out, it's like, at least what the Marlins did is that when they lost, they made sure they lost. Get rid of all the bad pitches in those games and then come back out the next day and win. And that's what they did. After that 29-9 loss to the Atlanta Braves, they came right back and beat the Phillies 7-6. Huge. That was a huge game. That was the one where I believe Jorge Alfaro got a walk-off. Huge victory for the Marlins. That's honestly, in my opinion, one of the biggest wins because, you lose that game to, a team that you're kind of fighting with to get into the postseason after losing 29-9. It's easy to lose some confidence, but they won that game. Of course, they lost 11-0 the next game, but then they win 5-3 the game after that. The resiliency of this club is obviously there, and that all starts with our captain, the man, Miggy Rowe. I mean, he was one of the guys that picked up COVID, but before that, he was on fire, and he continued that throughout the season, hitting over 300 for the entire season, having 20 RBIs, 5 stolen bases. The man was doing it all for us and had probably his best year. I know 60-game season, there's a little asterisk on it. I understand that, but he was our most consistent player. Our best player overall was easily Brian Anderson. And I was saying this before the season. He's been one of the top players on our team for the past 2 seasons and now 3 seasons, and he continues to do it. I love the fact that they kept him at third base all season. He does have the ability to and versatility to play in the outfield, but they didn't need that because they had so many players coming from the taxi squad, like Lewis Brinson coming in. You had Monty Harrison coming in. Who else? Jesus Sanchez coming in that was able to play some outfield as well. And just a bunch of guys that just contributed. Of course, those guys on the offensive end didn't play so well. Like Monty Harrison was under 200. Same thing with Jazz Chisholm. So it was a little bit of a struggle on the offensive end for a few of those guys. But the main guys were able to at least, pick up the slack for him. One of those guys being Jesus Aguilar. I mean, what a signing that man was. He's second on the team in home runs and RBIs, just behind Brian Anderson in both. And I got to mention that. Brian Anderson with 11 home runs in 59 games. He played 59 of the 60 games. That's a leader for you, man. That's a guy who cares about your club, wants to play for your club, and wants to help them win and make it to the postseason. And when you watch this team win that game to get into the postseason, and what a win that was, to be bases loaded, Brandon Kinsler being able to, get us out of that inning with a double play, huge. And it was just right that it was Miggy Rowe getting that out. It was just right. But, I loved it. Jonathan Villar, I remember telling you guys that don't be surprised if he would be in the trade market. He was. And what a player we got for him in Starling Marte. He's injured right now with an ear injury. Not sure. They did say he will be able to play for in the postseason. Thank goodness, because what a pickup that man was for us. Just doing it all for us throughout the year. He played 28 games, had 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, and is just another offensive player that you bring into this team that's easily one of our weakest links there. And it was just a great sign to see him instantly make an impact. His first game with us, he hit a home run. Just huge numbers from him. Corey Dickerson played well, also 7 home runs, 17 RBIs. So it's just great to see how a lot of these guys that we brought into our team really impacted this season. That's what you wanted to see. It shows that the front office knows what they're doing in putting this team around, because they're not focusing on the big signings. They're focusing on the ones that are going to make a difference, and that's what happened in this season. Another guy that I really liked what I saw from him early on, it just sucks that he's going to be injured for this postseason, is Francisco Cervelli. He was such a great veteran presence for us in that catcher spot. Even though Jorge Alfaro, had a couple injuries this season and didn't play as consistent as we were hoping, Francisco Cervelli he was that consistent guy, and it just felt, even though he only had 3 home runs this season, right? That is what he had, right? Let me just check this again. Yeah, he had 3 home runs and 7 RBIs in 16 games. It felt like they came in such big moments. The Italian came through, and I hope he stays with us for another season, because I love his presence on the team. Another one, Lewis Brinson. Lewis Brinson. I mean, this guy, so many people were doubting him. I mean, me being one of them, 100%. I'll be the first to say it. I was doubting Lewis Brinson all the way. I was just shocked that they would continue to play him. I was demanding him to go to the minor leagues. And obviously this season, it was kind of like he was forced to be a contributing factor. And no one knew what was going to happen, whether he was going to obviously hit under 200 again and be literally a no-show. And that was not the case. He was a consistent offensive, contributor on our team. And obviously he still gives you great stuff on the defensive end. That's his niche, to be able to give us a lot of, production on the defensive end. It was offense that we weren't sure if we were going to get that from him ever. And we did get that from him this season. He had 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, and was just so great to see him finally come into his own, especially late in the season. There were a couple of those young guys, like I already talked about, Jazz Chisholm, Magnier Sierra, Monty Harrison, Lewin Diaz, who is also going to be injured for this upcoming season. Isan Diaz, again, kind of disappointed for us this season, and Jesus Sanchez. Monty Harrison was probably the one I was the most impressed with, just because of his athletic ability. There's no surprise that he was a multi-athlete in high school and college, and was just, he shows it on the field. He's a great defensive player. Just doesn't, he still needs to get used to that MLB pitching, because the batting just wasn't there. They all hit under 200. Not Magnier Sierra, but he didn't play that much. He only played 19 games. There was a bit of a ray of hope at the end of the season with Jazz Chisholm having easily the best game of his career, literally in the last day of the season. He had a home run and he had a double. He had like 3 RBIs. I'm not 100% sure on those numbers. Let me check that one time. Let me get to that. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. I got it right on the nose. 1 home run and 3 RBIs. Easily the best game he had this season, and it was great to see with those 2 hits. You want to see more of that, of course. But he is young. He's only 22 years old, so you can't expect too much from him. But they'll be very important in this postseason run. And now that I've talked about a lot of the position players, let's get into the pitching, which was easily the most exciting part of this season, with Pablo Lopez, Sandy Alcantara, and Sixto Sanchez. Those are your 3 top pitchers on this team, at least in the starting rotation. No one else really showed up that much. Trevor Rogers had some good moments here and there, and he is only 22 years old, but Sixto Sanchez came in, and it kind of felt back to those. I'm not comparing him to Jose Fernandez, but it kind of had that feel of like when it was Jose Day. I know we all remember those, and we miss those days because it was just so much fun to watch Jose Fernandez. But Sixto Sanchez gives the same type of feel. He's a little bit more serious than Jose Fernandez. He's a little funny in the bullpen. I remember seeing one time he was like dancing with I forgot who it was. I think with Isan Diaz. So he does have a bit of a fun personality to him. But when he's on the pitch, when he's on the field, he is a different animal. Like, you can tell he's super focused, and he's obviously trying to, give the best to his club, to his team. I don't know why I'm talking soccer terms, but he did well. He was three wins, 2 losses, a 3.46 ERA. Not unbelievable numbers, but for a 21-year-old rookie, those are good numbers. Sandy Alcantara was easily our best pitcher this season. He had a 3.0 ERA, was 3-2. Didn't play as many games as Pablo Lopez. He was the one that was the most consistent for us, not getting injured and, just making sure to be there and give us those big games. But all 3 of these guys have a chance to give us wins in the postseason, and that's what you need. You want at least 3 pitchers. Obviously, if you had more, that's great. But if you can have 3 really good pitchers, which we do, you have a chance in the postseason, and that is why I feel like we can make noise in the playoffs. We are playing. So let's get into. Before I go into the postseason and start talking about who our matchup is going to be, I want to continue. Just go into like the relievers real quick. Brandon Kintzler was huge for us this season. He came in, took that closer role, and was just unbelievable. He had a 2.2 ERA, was 2 wins, 3 losses, and had 12 saves this season. That's good for second in the National League. Huge, huge season from Brandon Kintzler, and no game was bigger than what I've already mentioned. That one game to give us the postseason berth, where there were bases loaded in the bottom of the 10th inning, and he got out of the inning. Double play. He drew a double play and got us out of that inning and gave us the win. It was huge. It epitomizes the kind of season that Brandon Kintzler was having for us, and I'm really excited to see what he does for us in the postseason. A couple other guys that kind of showed up, even though he had some pretty bad moments. I like what Stephen Tarpley gave us in some situations. He showed really good potential, but didn't really, in the end, he still had like a 9.0 ERA, so it wasn't that crazy. James Hoyt, 24 appearances, a 1.23 ERA, 2 wins, 0 losses, and was just, great whenever he came in there. I liked Brad Boxberger in a few moments. So we do have some good guys that can make things happen. Nick Vincent, on the other hand, I'm not totally convinced with Nick Vincent, because there were so many times where he gave leads away, just what was kind of not hitting the spots that he needed to, when the moment came. But overall, I was really impressed with the bullpen. I didn't expect them to be that good. I expected the starting pitching to have to be, out of this world in order for us to really have low-scoring games or low, for the opponents. But they did come through, especially the closer, Brandon Kintzler, which in the end is the most important position. So now that we've pretty much talked about the entire, team, I do want to give a shout-out to our manager, Don Mattingly, who this season became the all-time winner in Marlins history. Huge accomplishment for him. I was super surprised by that because, he's pretty much been with us throughout all these pretty bad years. But it just goes to show the culture that they're building. It's kind of similar to what Pat Riley did with Eric Spoelstra. They're doing that with Don Mattingly. He's a great manager. He brings his teams together. You can tell how much they love him during the celebration of, getting that postseason berth. And it was very, very smart for Derek Jeter and that front office to keep him around. And there's no doubt in my mind he's going to continue to be the manager for years to come, or until he decides to leave, honestly. So now let's get into who our matchup is going to be in the first round. It is going to be the Chicago Cubs. The Chicago Cubs won the NL Central Division and with a 34-26 record, and they were pretty good this season. I mean, overall, they had better pitching than their offense was, but still their offense was very, I would say overall, from top to bottom, they have very solid production from them. They have, 6 guys with at least 7 home runs and 20 RBIs. And if you're talking about just 20 RBIs, you have 7 guys with at least 20 RBIs. So you have a lot of guys that can get you runs on that team. but this team really succeeded with their pitching, and specifically Yu Darvish, who probably had the best season. Like he's had a really solid career, but this was easily his best season, even though it was, obviously, like we've already talked about, it was only 60 games, so it wasn't like a huge sample size to really work with. But he's one of the best pitchers in the National League this season, no doubt in my mind. He is among the league leaders in pretty much every pitching category. He's first in wins with 8, second in ERA with a 2.01 ERA, just behind Trevor Bauer, who was ridiculous this year. He was fourth in strikeouts and first in quality starts with 10. So he's probably going to lead off for this team because he was just great. Kyle Hendricks also had a really solid season with a sub 3.0 ERA at 2.8. And Alec Mills was okay. He 4.48, but Adbert Alzolay also played pretty well with a sub 3 ERA. So they have 3 pitchers with a sub 3.0 ERA. That's very good going into this postseason. Very similar to the Marlins, who, it's just that they have more youth in their pitching. That's the biggest difference. Yu Darvish is 33, Kyle Hendricks is 30, so they have more experience. Yu Darvish has obviously been at the big stage, and he knows what it takes to really, even though he didn't really perform too well up there, he's been there, and that really counts for something. So the Marlins do have their hands full with this first-round matchup. We're going to have to go up against guys like Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, usually known as, that's, if you're not a big baseball fan, that's the one guy you'd probably know on the Chicago Cubs. He did not have that good of a year, and that kind of was the case for a lot of big-time names. Like, I can just off my head, Christian Yelich did not have a huge season. One more, the guy from the Dodgers, how am I forgetting his name? I'll get it. His name is, it's probably going to come to me while I'm looking for it, but freaking, how is it not coming to me? Cody Bellinger, another guy who didn't, even though he kind of caught up to his usual stats a little late in the season, he did not start off really well. So that was kind of like a trend going on this season. But yeah, Chris Bryant hitting nearly 200 this year. He did have 4 home runs and 11 RBIs, so he obviously can still make it happen on any given at bat. That's just who he is. He's got that star talent. But that's just, even with him not playing that well, it just goes to show how good this team is. Just overall, they make it happen, and it's going to be a very tough series. I don't actually know how it works. I don't know if they're doing it kind of like how the Division series or the wild card series is usually, if they're just going to make it one game. I'm not 100% sure on that. No, they're actually going, it's going to be a 3-game series. So you got to win at least 2 games. So that's cool. I like that. But yeah, they're going to be playing on Wednesday, September 30th. Same day as the Miami Heat. Okay, so I'm going to be, but it's at 2 p.m. All right, so I can watch that game first, and I'll watch the Heat game at night. But yeah, this is going to be a really, really interesting series. If the Marlins pitching can give you that, that star quality starts that they, that they're capable of, and I believe they are capable of. You're going to see Sandy Alcantara in the first match, I'm sure of it, and then you'll probably get Pablo Lopez in the second one, and then they'll go with Sixto Sanchez in the third if it's necessary. But with those 2 starters there, they're probably going to be going up against Yu Darvish first and then Kyle Hendricks next. The offense just needs to find a way to make something happen. And with the ability to run that we have seen throughout this year, I think they can steal this one. I really do. I mean, of course, I'm a Miami fan, so I'm not going to say they're going to lose, but it's going to be tight. I mean, Chicago Cubs are a really good team, and they're not that much better than us. I mean, they only ended 34-28, so it's not that much better than us. But or what was it? Was it 34-28? No, I got that wrong, right? 34-26. So they did have a really solid season, but I do believe that the Marlins can upset them here. The only thing is that after that, they will be facing off against either the Atlanta Braves, who have had our number more often than not this season, or the Cincinnati Reds. Obviously, I would love to take on the Reds in the next round if we make it there. But most likely it would be the Braves, and that would be the series I don't see us winning because, man, it just feels like even when we had Sixto Sanchez up, Sandy Alcantara, they just had their number, and it's just that offense is just ridiculous. So I'm excited. I'm going to be previewing, the games, or I'm going to be recapping the games as they go along because, now we're in the postseason. This is where it all matters. I'm super excited. This is literally the first postseason as a Marlins fan that I'm going to have because even in 2003, I was 9 years old, so I wasn't even like that big of a Marlins fan. I didn't really know much about it. I was more like video games. That's kind of like what I did, But now this is my first time as a Marlins fan in the postseason. I'm super hyped, super excited to get this going, seeing how MLB postseason is as a fan. And yeah, that's going to be all for today's video. So hit the like button for, that really helps. And of course, subscribe for any future Miami sports content. And I'll catch you guys later.